You've done it before. Maybe you did it today. You typed out a long message. Then you deleted half of it because it felt like too much. Then you added it back because you were afraid they'd misunderstand you. You rewrote the same 3 sentences 4 times, searching for the perfect words, the ones that would finally make them see what you actually meant. And when you hit send, your heart was beating a little too fast, and you sat there watching those 3 dots appear and disappear, appear and disappear. And then their reply came, and it landed like they hadn't read a single word. So you explained again, more carefully this time, more gently. You softened your tone, you acknowledged their side, you bent yourself into a shape you thought they could finally accept. And still nothing. Still that same wall. Still that same look. Still that same feeling of standing outside a locked door, knocking, while the person inside pretends not to hear you. Here is the truth, almost no one will tell you. They didn't misunderstand you because your words weren't clear enough. They misunderstood you because, long before you opened your mouth, they had already decided who you were. No explanation was ever going to change that. Not the perfect message, not the calmer tone, not the 5th attempt or the 50th. Because you were trying to solve a problem with logic that was never made of logic in the first place. And this is where so many good, thoughtful, sincere people quietly lose years of their lives, pouring themselves out in front of people who had already put the cap back on the bottle. So tonight, I want to show you something. I want to show you the hidden psychology of why we over-explain, why it drains us, and why the strongest people you've ever met seem to move through the world without needing to justify a single thing. Because once you understand this, something inside you loosens, and you don't tighten it back up again. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Over-explaining is often approval-seeking wearing the mask of honesty. There's a story I want you to sit with. A woman decides not to attend a family gathering. She's exhausted, she's stretched thin, and she simply needs a weekend to breathe. That's the whole reason. But when she tells her family, she doesn't say, "I need rest." She says, "I would love to come, but work has been so overwhelming, and I've had this thing with my health, and the drive is really long, and I promise I'll make it next time. I feel terrible about this." Notice what happened. A simple, valid decision turned into a courtroom defense. Why do we do that? Because somewhere along the way, we learned that no was not enough. That our feelings weren't reasons, they were requests, and requests could be denied. So we built a habit. We stack up justifications like sandbags, hoping that if we give people enough reasons, they'll finally grant us permission to be ourselves. But here's the psychology underneath it. Over-explaining is rarely about honesty. Honesty is simple. Honesty says, "This is true and I can rest in it." Over-explaining is about approval. It's the quiet voice inside asking, "Please don't be upset with me. Please still see me as good." And that voice isn't weakness. It usually comes from somewhere real, a childhood where love felt conditional, a relationship where you were punished for having needs. But recognizing where it comes from is how you begin to set it down. So the next time you feel that urge to pile on reasons, pause and ask yourself one question. Am I explaining because they need clarity, or because I need their approval? That single question changes everything, because it moves you from performing to simply being. And once you feel that difference, you can't unfeel it. But approval seeking is only the surface, because even when your explanation is flawless, some people still won't hear it, and there's a reason for that too. Lesson 2. People hear what confirms what they already believe. Think of the last argument you replayed in your head at 2 a.m. You had the perfect points. The evidence was on your side. You laid it all out so clearly that any reasonable person would have to agree. And yet the other person walked away more convinced of their version than ever. That's not bad luck. That's a well-documented feature of the human mind. Psychologists call it confirmation bias, the tendency to notice, believe, and remember only the things that fit what we already think, and to quietly discard everything that doesn't. Here, what that means in plain language. When someone has already decided you're selfish, they don't hear your explanation as information. They hear it as material. Every word you say gets filtered through the story they've already written. Say something kind, and they think you're being manipulative. Stay quiet, and they think you're being cold. Defend yourself, and they think you're being defensive. There is no move on the board that wins because the game was rigged before you sat down. This is the part that hurts, so let me say it gently. You are not failing to communicate. You are communicating perfectly well to someone whose mind is closed to receiving it. And once you truly understand confirmation bias, a strange peace arrives. Because you stop taking their misunderstanding as a verdict on you. You start seeing it as a description of them. The practical shift is this. Before you explain yourself, ask whether the person is actually open. Are they asking questions, or are they collecting evidence? Because you cannot reason someone out of a conclusion they didn't reach through reason. And there's a darker version of this, where the misunderstanding isn't just stubbornness, but strategy. Lesson 3. Every explanation you give hands information to the wrong hands. Not everyone who asks you to explain yourself wants to understand you. Some of them are just gathering. Picture a workplace. There's a colleague who always seems so interested in your reasoning. Why did you decide that? What were you thinking? Tell me more about how you got there. It feels flattering at first, someone finally curious about you. And so you open up. You share your doubts, your frustrations, the real story behind your decisions. And then, weeks later, your own words come back to you, twisted slightly, repeated in the wrong room, used as evidence in a conversation you were never invited to. Here's the psychology. People who genuinely want to understand you listen to connect. People who want to use you listen to collect. The first kind holds your words like something fragile. The second kind stores them like ammunition. The more anxious you feel, the more you tend to overshare, because vulnerability feels like it should earn safety. But with the wrong person, every honest detail becomes another handle they can grab you by. I want to be careful here, because this isn't about becoming guarded and suspicious of everyone. That would be its own kind of prison. It's about discernment. Openness is a gift, and gifts are meant for people who have shown they'll treat them with care. So the practical lesson is simple. Before you explain your deeper reasons to someone, ask yourself, has this person earned my inner world, or are they simply asking for the keys? Because silence, it turns out, is not just protection. Sometimes it's the loudest thing in the room. Lesson 4. Silence communicates confidence that words never can. Watch the people who seem truly at peace with themselves. Notice what they don't do. When someone throws an accusation at them, they don't scramble. They don't launch into a 10-minute defense. They pause. They let the silence sit there. And somehow, that silence says more than any speech could. I don't need you to agree with me for me to be okay. There's real psychology in this. When we're flooded with the fear of being misunderstood, our nervous system goes into overdrive, heart racing, thoughts spinning, words tumbling out faster than we can think. That flood is why we overtalk. We're not persuading anyone, we're trying to soothe our own panic. But when you can stay quiet in a moment that used to make you frantic, you're doing something powerful. You're regulating yourself instead of outsourcing your calm to other people's approval. Psychologists call this emotional regulation, the ability to stay grounded when everything in you wants to react. And other people feel it. A calm silence tells the room that your sense of self isn't up for negotiation. Frantic over-explaining tells the room the opposite, that your worth is still waiting for a verdict. Let me be clear about what this is not. This is not the cold, punishing silent treatment used to control someone. That's manipulation. This is something entirely different, the quiet dignity of a person who no longer performs their innocence for people determined to see them as guilty. So here's your practice. The next time you feel that flood rising, take one breath before you speak, just one. In that breath, ask, does this actually need a response, or does my anxiety just want one? And once you can hold your silence, you're ready for something even more freeing, letting go of a battle you were never meant to win. Lesson 5. Emotionally mature people don't fight to control what others think. Here's a heavy truth, and I want you to feel the weight of it lift as you hear it. You cannot control what people think of you. You never could. We spend enormous energy trying. We craft the perfect image. We correct every misperception. We lie awake editing the story we imagine is playing in someone else's head. opinion of you doesn't actually live in you. It lives in them, shaped by their own history, their own wounds, their own fears, most of which have nothing to do with you at all. Think of two siblings raised in the same house who remember their childhood completely differently. Same events, same parents, two entirely separate stories. That's how subjective every human being's perception is. Someone's version of you is a painting they made, using their own colors in their own light. You were barely holding the brush. Emotionally mature people understand this deep in their bones, so they stop auditioning for approval. Not out of arrogance. Arrogance is just approval seeking that gave up and got bitter. Real maturity is quieter than that. It says, I'll act with integrity, I'll be honest, and then I'll release my grip on how it's received because that part was never mine to hold. The practical shift is to separate two things you've been treating as one: your behavior and other people's interpretation of it. The first is your responsibility. The second is theirs. When you keep carrying both, you break your own back trying to manage minds that were never yours to manage. And when you finally set that weight down, a new question appears. Not how do I get everyone to understand me, but who actually deserves to. Lesson 6. Not everyone has earned access to your inner world. Imagine your inner life as a house. The front step is where anyone can stand, the small talk, the surface, the weather. The living room is for people you trust a little more. And then there are rooms deeper inside, your fears, your grief, the tender, unfinished parts of you, rooms that should only ever be opened for people who have proven they'll walk through them carefully. But so many of us hand out the master key to anyone who knocks. We tell our deepest struggles to acquaintances. We explain our most private reasoning to people who have shown us, again and again, that they'll only use it to judge. And then we're confused about why we feel so exposed, so raw, so easily hurt. This is what emotional boundaries actually are. Not walls that keep everyone out. That's not strength. That's fear in disguise. Real boundaries are more like doors, with you deciding who gets to come inside and how far. The psychology here connects to self-worth. When you believe your worth is settled, that you're okay whether or not this particular person understands you, you stop desperately trying to earn closeness by over-disclosing. You share deeply with people who have shown they can hold it, and you let everyone else stay in the rooms they've earned. So here's the practice, and it's a kind one. You're allowed to give people an answer without giving them access. I've decided not to. That's personal. I'd rather not get into it. These aren't rude. They're the sound of someone who finally knows the difference between honesty and self-exposure. But there's a specific kind of person who will test these boundaries hardest, and understanding them will set you free. Lesson 7. Stop trying to convince people who benefit from misunderstanding you. Some people don't misunderstand you by accident. They misunderstand you because it serves them. Think about it honestly. If someone has cast you as the difficult one, the selfish one, the problem, that story gives them something. It makes them the reasonable one. It excuses their own behavior. It keeps them comfortable. And the moment you were finally understood, that comfort would collapse. So they have a quiet, often unconscious investment in never quite getting it. You felt this. The family member who needs you to be the disappointment, so they never have to look at themselves. The ex who needs you to be the villain so they don't have to sit with their own part. The friend who keeps you slightly small so they can feel slightly big. You keep explaining, keep hopping, this will be the time it finally lands, and it never does because their misunderstanding isn't a bug. For them, it's a feature. This is emotional investment, and it's worth nomming plainly. When someone gains something from a particular view of you, no evidence will move them. You could be perfect, and they'd find the flaw. Because the flaw is what they need. I know how painful this is, especially when it's someone you love. So let me offer the reframe that changes things. Your job is not to win the case. Your job is to stop showing up to a trial where the verdict was decided before you arrived. The practical step is grief, honestly. You let yourself feel the loss of being understood by them. You mourn it. And then you gently take your energy back and pour it toward the people and the life that can actually receive it. Because that energy you've been spending, it was always meant for something better. Before I give you the final lesson, I want to pause for a moment because something might be happening inside you right now. You're starting to see the patterns. You're recognizing yourself in these stories. And awareness like that is powerful, but awareness alone tends to fade by tomorrow morning if nothing anchors it. That's exactly why I wrote my book. Everything we're touching on tonight, the over-explaining, the boundaries, the quiet reclaiming of your own peace, the book takes deeper. It's built around practical frameworks, reflection prompts, and simple exercises that turn these ideas from things you understand into things you actually live. Because understanding psychology changes your awareness, but applying it changes your life. If you genuinely want that lasting shift, the first link in the description is waiting for you whenever you're ready. Now, let's finish what we started, because the last lesson is the one that sets you free. Lesson 8. Freedom begins when you no longer need everyone to understand your story. Here is where everything we've talked about comes together. For most of your life, being understood has felt like oxygen, like something you'd suffocate without. So you explained and defended and clarified and rewrote the message one more time, all of it a search for the same thing. The relief of someone finally saying, I see you. You're not the bad guy. You make sense. But I want to offer you a different kind of relief tonight, one that doesn't depend on anyone else at all. What if you could be at peace, even while being misunderstood? Not because you've given up on connection. Real understanding with the right people is one of the most beautiful things in life. But because your sense of who you are no longer requires everyone's signature to be valid. You know your intentions. You know your heart. You know the truth of what you did and why. And that knowing lives inside you, safe, whether or not another person ever confirms it. This is the shift from external validation to internal validation. And it's the quiet foundation of every emotionally free person you've ever admired. External validation is renting your self-worth from other people. The rent never stops, and they can evict you at any time. Internal validation is finally owning the ground you stand on. The practice is small, but it will change your life. When you feel that ache to be understood by someone who won't, place a hand on it and say, I know what's true, that's enough. At first you won't fully believe it. Say it anyway. Belief follows practice, not the other way around. And slowly, something remarkable happens. The 2 a.m. replays get quieter. The unsent paragraphs stay unsent. The people who never wanted to understand you lose their grip on your nervous system, not because they changed, but because you stopped handing them the controls. So let me tell you the truth, as we come to the end. The world will still misunderstand you sometimes. Certain people will still judge you no matter how kindly you show up. Some of them will never change, not because you failed, but because they were never trying to see you in the first place. That part isn't going away, but something else has changed inside you. You no longer need permission to be who you are. You no longer need approval to protect your peace. You no longer need to translate your entire soul for people who were always going to read it in the worst possible language. You can let them be wrong about you. You can let the message stay unsent. You can let the silence do what 1,000 explanations never could. And you can walk away from the trial, not because you lost, but because you finally realized you were never obligated to attend. The people meant for you will ask questions, not gather evidence. They'll lean in with curiosity, not wait with judgment. And to them, to the ones who actually want to know you, your story will always be worth telling. For everyone else, you're allowed to simply live it. Remember this, long after tonight, you were never too complicated to understand. You were just explaining yourself to people who closed the book before they reached your name. Your peace doesn't begin when they finally understand you. It begins the moment you no longer need them to. If tonight cracked something open in you, if you felt that quiet yes somewhere in your chest, then don't let it end here. Awareness is the spark, but real change comes from what you do with it in the ordinary moments, when the old urge to explain rises up and no one's watching to see which choice you make. That's the work my book was written to walk you through. Inside, you'll find guided exercises to loosen the grip of approval-seeking, mental frameworks for recognizing who has actually earned your inner world, And journaling prompts that turn these late-night realizations into a way of living you can return to on your hardest days. It's not a book to rush through. It's a companion for becoming someone who no longer over-explains, who holds boundaries without guilt, and who carries a self-respect that other people's opinions can no longer shake. If you're ready to begin that journey, genuinely ready, the first link in the description is where it starts, not as a task, as the next quiet step in becoming free. Take care of your peace. You've been protecting everyone else's for long.